some dare call it conspiracy.
Welcome to Some Dare Call It Conspiracy with Brent Lee and Neil Sanders.
As the planet spirals into a fascist dystopia, we thought someone really should keep a record of this decline, so that when the aliens are sifting through the ashes of civilization, they might be able to see where it all went wrong.
This is The World According to Some.
Or as all the hepcats are calling it, twats. Okay, we're now in the 5th of February 2025, and Donald Trump comes up with a novel idea. He's decided that there's a particular department that he thinks is really should be scrapped, essentially. What it'll be replaced with is anybody's guess. Of all the departments of the American government, can you guess which particular one he's decided it's probably a good idea to completely get rid of?
The CIA.
No, not yet. Although, maybe we'll see. This is one that might affect sort of civilians more, shall we say?
ICE.
No. Can you believe? No, he's very keen on very much not getting rid of that. Maybe even bolstering it.
Social Security or something, maybe.
Well, definitely that is what DOGE is looking at. But this specific one, he's decided that the Department of Education needs to be dismantled. You know, the thing that sorts out schools and people learning and stuff like that. If one was cynical, very cynical, you could suggest that basically, well, I mean, that kind of sounds like the sort of thing that a dictator would want to do if he didn't want people to be able to critically analyze stuff and think and know things. And it's also scarily in line with sort of other totalitarian regimes, Stalin and Nazis and stuff like that, purging experts, killing doctors and other things like that. There's a real weird thing, this idea that universities are sort of like breeding grounds for Marxist thought and stuff like that. And the actual truth is that basically what happens is you go to university and you come into contact with all sorts of people and all sorts of ideas that you've not really been exposed to in the particular place that you live in, because everyone's coming from all over the country, sometimes from different countries. And you learn things and you realise that some things that seem terrifying and quite exotic really aren't, and people are just people, and it's better if people are nice to people, but that's not really the way to make money, is it? But so the White House has decided to prepare an executive order to eliminate the the education department, and NBC News actually reported on this. And can you hear that? Because someone's decided to start drilling next door.
No.
Okay, cool. So this is not new. In September of 2023, Trump had actually posted a video to social media saying, "One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states." So it's not like he's basically scrapping the curriculum, but what he's hoping to do is, as I say, like take it away from sort of a federal thing to a more states-based. Why would he be doing that? Well, we'll come on to that. But so the Department of Education, it basically serves about 50 million students in about 98,000 public schools and 32,000 private schools. And it also facilitates things like grants, loans, work-study assistance to more than 12 million post-secondary students. So there's a huge amount of things that it's actually involved in. And Becky Pringle, who's the president of the National Education Association, warned that this is going to hurt students, and it's going to hurt the poorest and the most vulnerable populations, basically. She said, "If it becomes a reality, Trump's power grab would steal resources for our most vulnerable students, explode class sizes, cut job training programs, make higher education more expensive and out of reach for middle-class families, take away special education services for students with disabilities, and gut student civil rights protections. Americans did not vote for and do not support ending the federal government's commitment to ensuring equal education opportunities for every child. This isn't actually a new thing. Ronald Reagan actually advocated dismantling the Department of Education back in the 80s, but wasn't able to do it. Now, why would they be doing this? Well, here's a few clues. In a July campaign email, Trump laid out other priorities for American education, which included cutting federal funding for any schools or programs that were pushing critical race theory. It's ridiculous, basically. It also spoke about promoting teachers who embrace patriotic values and removing radicals who have infiltrated the federal Department of Education. This is like, I mean, I will explain a bit more, but this is all sounding a bit dangerous. It's all sounding a little bit like what they're wanting to do is control. I mean, if you were Alex Jones, right, 10 years ago, you'd say, well, this is brainwashing. They're specifically saying that we're going to remove parts of the curriculum that we don't like, that are in line with patriotism. And usually when countries are doing this, it's sort of totalitarian. It brings to mind sort of ideas of, like, let's say, Stalinist Russia or North Korea, where you have approved ideas, approved histories. It's very 1984, to be quite honest. But for some reason, everybody on the right wing has decided that this is marvelous. Well, why? Well, NBC, they interviewed an anthropologist. I don't think they gave him his name, but they interviewed an anthropologist who outlined this. Sorry, this was on the Conversation website, not NBC. 1, the education department's woke mentality. Like, this is the thing. Like, Trump and his supporters believe that liberals are running public education by instituting what they call a radical woke agenda. Now, and this is essentially like teaching people that it's not all right to hate somebody just because they're black, gay, or trans. It really is as simple as that. But for some reason, these types of things threaten certain people in certain political parties, because we can't have people thinking that everybody's equal and deserves to be treated like a human being. That will mess with our bottom line. Now, can you believe that race and gender are highlighted quite heavily in Project 2025?
Yes.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
I definitely can believe that.
And Trump himself has basically, like, promised in North Carolina, he quite famously promised to keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. And by transgender insanity, essentially what they mean is explaining that some people are trans.
That's it's just radical, man.
It's fucked up, and it's crazy. Like, it's the slippery slope to the downfall of society, isn't it? And critical race theory is the concept that basically there are it's hyped up always as like, it's teaching people to hate their own identity and hate being white, and that whites are to blame for everything. It's like, it's not teaching you that at all. This is what pisses me off, right? Okay, all of these people that say, oh, you know what they do on university campuses, you know what they do in these critical race theory classes, you know what they do in things. None of them have ever been on a fucking university campus, right? It is the education is an indoctrination system that teaches people to do blah 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 blah. Yeah, the fucking poorly educated always say that because they fear stuff, and it's easy to create this bogeyman that basically just so happens to support your bigotry, right? It's essentially like it's childish. It's like saying, oh no, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to do all this and blah, 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 and hell with the consequences. Oh, I don't believe in the medical experts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's another one of these things. It's the rejection of experts, because reality mashes up with what you want to do or what you think.
Yep.
Right? Everybody, I want to go out and eat crap, drink crap, do all the drugs and blah 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 blah, you're gonna die. It's just a fact, right? Okay, there's do you know what I mean? You cannot. You have to face reality sometimes, and the reality of the situation in this is that basically, growing up as a black person due to institutional racism and years and years and years of generations of attitudes that have been formulated by dozens and dozens of things means that sometimes there is racism in the world. That's it. That's all that critical race theory is. It's basically understanding that sometimes people's lived experiences is different, and this can be informed by a lot of things. One of those things is race. Like, it's fucking, it's stupid. The next stupid thing that they suggest is that basically they want to stop American Marxist indoctrination. This is the thing. Basically, they think that the radical left and wokeness is part of a brainwashing attempt to indoctrinate the country with Marxist views. Sometimes they'll even cite people like Yuri Bezmenov, that liar that spoke to fucking gangster Edward Griffin and just made up shit that turned out wasn't a KGB agent, worked for a fucking newspaper and was a liar. Like, it's all just nonsense. It's this. Again, it's this bogeyman, and it does come from World Anti-Communist League, Heritage Foundation, Non-Dare Call It Conspiracy, John Birch Society, this concept of a world communist takeover. And it's all born out of the Cold War, because obviously the Cold War there was the communist threat, which was, it was real. The Cold War was a real thing. Although, weirdly, the conspiracy lot will tell you that it wasn't. It was all a setup. Which doesn't work when you say it out loud, because it's like, well, then why didn't they just introduce this communist world takeover then?
Exactly.
Well, because of American values and stuff like that. I thought they were in charge of America. Why did they make America? Like, I know we want to dominate the world, but why don't we do this? Why don't we fuck with ourselves a bit, make it a little bit difficult? It's like putting it on hard mode when you're playing Resident Evil or whatever. Because otherwise, where's the challenge? And the Illuminati, they love a challenge.
Well, David Icke has an answer for that. Remember the totalitarian tiptoe?
Yeah, but he doesn't make any bollocks sense, because it's like...
I know, but at least
why?
he tries. But that's the kind of thing I used to think. This is all part of the plan. Because if they just came straight out and just did all this, then we'd rebel, so they got to slowly indoctrinate us into this, and it's all, for some reason, it's got to take thousands of years. I don't know why, but
no.
I believe it, damn it.
Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of is, but again, because when you're looking at it, you're looking at the little bits at this end which inform the concept that the broader thing might well be true.
But I think the other thing, though, right? The other thing of with that is for myself, because it had been building for thousands or hundreds, maybe 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was imminent. It was
bound
to happen any day,
any
now,
second.
Then.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the fair point. Yeah,
that might be the thing there.
That we're fortunate enough to be born on that particular time, and let's not fuck about year 2000 was a big thing within the conspiracy world, and then 2012 and things like that, and and obviously 9/11 was the sort of catalyst for a lot of people getting involved in conspiracy theories and stuff like that, wasn't it? So
I think that's what distracts you from why hasn't it happened yet, and you're distracted by the thought of it's about to happen.
Also, in the mid-2000s, I think music went a bit off the boil, because we just had the 90s, which was shit up. So I suspect we were looking for something else to fill our minds. So maybe that's a theory anyway. But anyway, they're concerned that there's a Marxist indoctrination of universities and colleges and higher education in America, which is bullshit. But it's one of those things that you can sort of... It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you tell people that and they're genuinely scared of it, they'll never go to university, so they'll never find out that that's absolute crap.
Yeah, it kind of also reminds me of The Village.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah! Like, I mean, the thing that gets me as well is that people say, "Oh," and I'm sure we said this on our cultural Marxism deep dive. So if everyone has not heard that, please go and listen to that. Like, that the universities are left wing and stuff like that, and Marxist and stuff like that. It's like, well, what if you do an economics degree or a business degree? Like, are they Marxist? Like,
Oh no.
this is how you would run a business, but don't do it because it's evil. Like, it doesn't work like that. So again, this is just nonsense, isn't it? But one of the main sort of reasons, this is all sort of flim flam. This is really excuses and stuff like that. It's about something that's called school choice and parental rights. And what a lot of people on the right think is that woke education policy infringes on people's freedoms and rights to be like an ostrich and hate people for any minor differences. And so they don't want to learn about gender transition or that non-binary gender identity is a thing.
I've never heard that about ostriches. I didn't realize they were bigots.
They're bastards, mate. Like they hate their body's black and their neck and head is white, and so they're terribly, terribly conflicted. Right? They've got this like complete self-loathing. Okay. That's why they stick their heads in the ground.
Oh.
And you know where I learned that? I learned that with American state-based learning, not your fucking woke like federal education. That will tell you that that's a load of bollocks. But when Trump's got his way, people will be allowed to teach that. And basically what it boils down to is something that kind of is in the absolute first paragraph of Project 2025's chapter on education. All right. It says families and students should be free to choose from a diverse set of school options and learning environments. Now, when they say diverse, they don't mean diverse in the sense of broad. They mean diverse in the sense of extremely narrow, religious-based, conservative, values-based education. So it should include faith-based institutions and homeschooling. And it proposes, Project 2025 does, that governments could support parents who choose to homeschool or who put them through religious schools by providing school vouchers and grants and things like that. So that's really what it's about. And the other thing is basically cutting red tape, which is what a lot of this DOGE nonsense is about. And when we say cutting red tape, that basically the excuse is, oh, it's massively inefficient. And it's like, no, it's massively complicated. And again, what they want to do is they want to cut all this legislation and regulation and stuff like that, so they can just go, oh, we think that you shouldn't be allowed to teach this, or we think that you should definitely teach that evolution, for example, isn't real, that the biblical story of creation is accurate, and states would be able to determine that schools would be able to teach that. Now, some of you might be sat there and going, so what they're proposing is that basically state by state, you can pretty much pick and choose what the hell you want to teach people. Won't that be fucking chaos? And my answer to that is yes, probably. Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's why the Department of Education was probably founded, so that there was a certain curriculum across the nation.
Yeah, you would think so. Like, because it's one of those things where if you're using education particularly as like a sort of a yardstick for getting jobs and things like that, right? Okay, as opposed to like having a philosophical argument or a debate or something like that.
Yeah,
right? It's probably a good idea if like everyone's on the same playing field. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Okay, so this is reminding me a little bit of something I was thinking about the other day after our previous episode. And in that episode, we were talking about federal prisons.
Yeah.
Like being shut down or sending their prisoners somewhere else.
Oh, to El Salvador.
And I was thinking afterwards, like after recording, like, what about the prison industrial complex? Maybe how are they going to make money out of that? And then I thought, oh yeah, maybe it's because it's federal, like that they're getting rid of, and not actually the private prisons.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
but I haven't looked into it, so I got to look into it. But this is reminding me a bit of that, which kind of opens up more to having schools that are like making money. private schools.
Yeah, very much so. That's what it's doing. It's funneling funds to schools that support that particular right-wing, potentially evangelical Christian ideology. It's stacking the deck. It's political indoctrination and, to an extent, religious indoctrination as well.
And capitalism.
And
capitalism, baby.
And the irony of this is that basically they're doing the very thing that they are accusing the Department of Education of doing. Setting up a skewed agenda based on politics and things that are separate from pure education. They're framing education through a lens, and they're doing that in order to make people think and act and behave in a certain way, which is exactly what they're accusing the Department of Education of doing. But again, this is the thing, is that people are going to start to realise, or hopefully, is that a lot of these policies, which do come directly from Project 2025, which they pretended for ages was not a thing or wasn't going to be followed, they benefit a very select few. They're all written in such a way that it sounds sort of good, but if you look at it and you break it down, there's a very specific type of person that is going to benefit from this, and it's going to be detrimental to anybody that isn't that. And it might not even be that beneficial to these people, because it's all being done in such a slapdash way. It's very difficult to know whether there's any sensible infrastructure or ideas or anything to back any of this up, or whether they're just going to wing it.
Well, definitely wing it. Nothing sensible to what Elon and Trump is doing.
Probably not, to be quite honest. And speaking of completely nonsensical things that Trump's doing, Trump suggested also on this particular day that the USA should probably occupy Gaza whilst they're ethnically cleansing and gentrifying the region of Palestinians. See, Trump said of Gaza, the area in Palestine, the country that is not America, remember, Trump said, "We'll own it. We're going to take over that piece, develop it, and create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it will be something the entire Middle East can be proud of. Long-term ownership position by the US would bring great stability to the Middle East." And when he was asked who would live there in Palestine, Trump said, "I envisage the world people living there, the world's people. You'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in Gaza Strip is unbelievable. It could be the Riviera of the Middle East." Now, in fairness, he did then follow this up by saying Palestinians will live there, many people will live there. But he didn't sort of answer any questions about, the fuck are you talking about? How is this even legal? What are you doing? Are you seriously suggesting that you should just move everyone out of Palestine and then the USA would own it and turn it into a Trump beachfront or whatever? Do you know what I mean? He's seeing this as a real estate opportunity. It's ridiculous.
This is insane,
isn't it?
He's talking about now. He's like, America's going to have 3 new countries:
Greenland and Canada and Palestine. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And he said this basically at a press conference with Netanyahu. Netanyahu did look somewhat surprised about that.
He was like, "Hey, that's our agreement. Don't tell anyone."
Well, actually, he said that Trump sees a different future for that piece of land, but we are talking about it. I think it's something that could change history, and it's a worthwhile really pursuing this avenue. But Trump basically said, he justified this by saying, well, Gaza's a demolition site. And he said that the Palestinians who are living there should be relocated, claiming that they would be absolutely thrilled to live elsewhere, but pointing out that realistically they have no alternative. Because the whole thing is a mess, Trump said. I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. I think that Gaza has been very unlucky for them. They've lived like hell. They've lived like they're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. The only reason that they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is that they have no alternative. What's the alternative? Go where? If they had an alternative, they'd much rather not go back to Gaza and live in a beautiful alternative that's safe. But he does have a suggestion. He says that the approximately 1.8 million Palestinians that he's suggesting move from their homeland because, they don't have an alternative, probably should go and live in other Arab countries, such as, say, Egypt or Jordan. I mean, that's very good of him to make that decision for Egypt and Jordan. I mean, they have pointed out that basically they've said no, Egypt and Jordan. Trump said, well, they say they're not going to accept them, but I say they will. And I think that other countries will also accept them.
Oh my God.
And he said that going to a new land would be a lot better than going back to Gaza, which has had decades and decades of death. And they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life. Now, some people pointed out that this is essentially ethnic cleansing. Some people pointed out that Trump has no say on what the Palestinian civilians, nor the Palestinian country, nor government, nor state should do. Trump has absolutely no say on what Jordan or Egypt should do, and that this is completely insane. Now, I just want to just quickly say something that, because people say that basically, like, there's a wall between Palestine and Egypt. Why don't they take them? Because they know they're problematic. No, not true at all. All the surrounding countries have actually taken loads and loads, in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Palestinian refugees over the decades. The reason that the wall is there and the reason that they aren't so keen to take Palestinian refugees is because they understand that that will open essentially the floodgates for an action like this, where if there is a safe destination for Palestinian refugees, that would make an action by somebody like, say, Israel or America, moving these refugees to a safe area, seem a lot more palatable on the international stage. But the ultimate result of that would be Israel essentially annexing the entirety of Palestine. And that is why these particular countries don't take it. Now, this has been completely twisted by the right-wing media and such like this. Because, again, can you believe that these are very, very complicated issues? But, I think it's safe to say that we both agree that that's just a both insane and monstrous suggestion by the new president of America. Now, Jeremy Corbyn had a thing to say about this. He tweeted out that the President of the United States welcomed a leader wanted by the ICC and officially endorsed ethnic cleansing. Now would be a good time for our government to defend international law. If they won't say it, we will. Palestinians aren't going anywhere. And that's basically the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has levied charges against Benjamin Netanyahu and suggested that he's been involved in war crimes, I believe. I may be wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. And so that was what Corbyn was annoyed about. And interestingly, again, Alex Jones, he should be massively opposed to this. In fact, he's been opposed to this in the past, but not for any humanitarian reasons. I think we've discussed this, not because of the horrific loss of life or anything like that, because he doesn't want Palestinians turning up in America. And obviously, if seriously, like he said this numerous times,
obviously.
He's an absolute maniac behind it. But so he should be dead against it. But he tweeted out. Well, he tweeted in support of Donald Trump, and spoke about it sort of like this is a good plan, and parroted all the talking points. Donald Trump tweeted out, "The US will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too," which is again insane. Now, David Icke.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Now, see if how someone can be right and spectacularly, painfully wrong all at the same time is quite a feat. So
it's his superpower.
It is his superpower. So Donald Trump tweets that out, and so David Icke quote tweets it and puts this: "What the actual fuck? What a perfect way to secure the transition to an Israeli Gaza Strip and expel Palestinians." Okay. Fairly sensible thus far. Strap in. The long-planned goal, since even before the Rothschilds established Israel, is unfolding before our eyes, whilst the Trumpers, who believe in freedom, cheer. Still waiting for even a titter of response to this from the Trump/Musk propaganda arm, better known as Alex Jones. So, he's managed to be right about the situation, right about Alex Jones, and then completely racist about the entire reason for this whole thing going off, and tied it back to the idea that this is fulfilling the prophecy of the New World Order on behalf of the Rothschilds, which is obviously stupid. And this is obviously playing on his mind, because at 6:14 a.m. that day, David had tweeted, again quote tweeted Alex. Alex had just put, all he put was like, "I'm very happy that Elon Musk reposted our Tulsi Gabbard report." Okay, fair enough, whatever. So at 6:14 a.m., so he just got out of bed, or maybe not even got out of bed. David
No,
Icke,
he's old. He gets up at 5.
He gets at 4 or 5. Yeah,
You know what old people are like.
Yeah,
He's already been down the post office by then.
Yeah, probably. So anyway, he posted a picture of a corgi dog on its hind legs with its paws up, begging and smiling at the camera, and put out, and this is quote tweeting Alex Jones. "Please, sir, can I have a bone, sir? I'll do whatever you want, sir. Beg, sir. Oh, yes, sir." Marvelous. So yeah. Alex Jones and David Icke have got beef, and both of them are managing to be spectacularly wrong about nearly everything, to be quite honest. Someone else who's spectacularly wrong about nearly everything is our good old friend, free speech absolutist Elon Musk. So obviously he's a busy man. He's got all these children to be not paying attention to, all these businesses to be damaging, and stuff like that. But he did find time with his free speech crusade. And when I say free speech crusade, what I mean is that he arranged to get an entire Reddit community taken off the internet.
What?
Well, I mean, it's only fair, right? They'd been very, very slightly critical of Doge. Yeah. You see, Reddit, they'd actually temporarily banned one of these communities, and then they removed another. Basically, Elon Musk got in touch with them and claimed that comments that were made about his employees were breaking the law, which is exactly what he'd said when Wired had exposed the muskrats, which are the children who are in charge of all the money of America at the present time.
And when you say exposed, reported on a fact.
Yes, exactly.
Didn't actually say where they lived or put their social security number out there.
And the fucking irony of we don't want you to know their names whilst they pore over your social security data.
Yeah.
The balls on this man is fucking...
you're allowed to say somebody's name.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's stupid.
This is their name. This is their job title. That's fine. That's just reporting. Yeah.
Now, the Reddit community, or the subreddit, was called R White People Twitter, and it's apparently people share funny posts from X and take the piss. And they'd been sharing of some posts that seemed to be suggesting violence against members of Doge. And basically, it was bullshit. They were just responding to the drama that Elon had created by saying you've broken the law by spreading these people. So so he got this whole subreddit banned. And this is absolute bullshit, because basically in 2024 he'd already sort of been on this tip about people being arrested in England for saying offensive comments and blah, 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 blah. And he showed that video of the bloke that doesn't actually get arrested. The police visit him and say, "Why are you being a prick on Twitter? Stop doing it, otherwise you'll get into trouble," and leave him alone. Yeah, Imran Ahmed, friend of the show from the Centre of Countering Digital Hate, said that there's a rich irony to Musk's comments because it's always one rule for Elon and another rule for everyone else. I mean, he's about freedom, all right. The freedom to do whatever he wants, no matter the cost to people, their families, and the fundamentals of democracy. And this is obviously like Musk sued the CCDH in 2023 over claims that it took unlawful steps to access data from X, which is utter bollocks. What it did was it basically looked at X and went, wow, we're seeing a lot more Nazis on the site, and basically collated instances of Nazis. And so Elon Musk tried to sue them for pointing out the truth. And last year, a US judge dismissed the case, which is great. Right. So we're now on February the 6th. And Alex, who's been talking about the Palestine situation on his show, has decided... right, there's a word that he describes Donald Trump as in regards to the Palestine situation.
Genius.
No, close. He calls him a peacemaker, which is, an interesting use of the word. But David Icke is furious about this, absolutely furious about this, and he says, Alex Jones has responded to Trump's plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza after Democrat launches impeachment. Do you think Alex justifies the plan or not? The very question is a spoiler alert. Trump is arming Israel to the enamel on their teeth, but he's a peacemaker, says Alex. Do people still wonder why I keep calling out these people? If they do, they're not paying attention. Why do you think Trump said if the Palestinians don't agree to leave, they're going to continue to be killed? Because the bombs he supplies are going to be dropped on them until they do leave. Now, as we've previously discussed, right, okay, the slight sticking point with this, the incredible sticking point with this, is that this isn't really about the Palestinians from David's regard. This is about fulfilling New World Order prophecy and eschatology, and it's to do with like taking over the final temple and essentially trying to bring on the end of the world. And you'd be surprised how many people actually buy into that. But it's also been tied into sort of New World Order concepts as well, and just a sort of a vague concept that Israel is the sort of center of everything because Rothschilds, which again is not accurate, but hey, and David kind of explains this a bit more because he's responding to somebody else. Someone else sticks their oar in, interferes, which is something that they've been alleged to have done in the past. With
Russel Brand.
That's him. Yeah. He tweeted out regarding the Israel-Gaza situation. He says, as a Christian, when you read the Old Testament, you have to acknowledge that there is a unique, particular, and sacred relationship between the Jewish people and that land, which is debatable.
And the Palestinian people of that land.
Yeah, it's one of these things where it's like this.
Jesus was a Palestinian Jew.
Yeah.
When you read the Bible, that's what you find out, Russell.
It's probably one of these things where it's probably like, well, that's lovely and everything. It's like that's possibly not the best sort of way to dictate policy today, is it? Like, and in both ways, like there needs to be a two-state solution. You cannot get rid of Israelis because they live there too now, and a lot of the people that live there just happen to live there. They're not involved in anything any more than we were involved in the politics of the Iraq War or anything like that, or growing up the conflict with the IRA or anything like that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's the people aren't the government, and the people aren't the government's policies. So it's crazy, but David Icke's got it sussed. He says, This is the very core of the Israel multi-generational psyops, using a book written by who knows when, in who knows what circumstances, and compiled by a Roman Empire-created church to justify rights, ownership, and mass slaughter in 2025. This is no basis either on which to justify the British Empire, controlled by the Rothschilds, funding and manipulating the stealing of Palestinian occupied land on the say-so of the Old Testament. When we stop thinking in terms of race and religion and realise that we're all in the same trap, sprung by the same force, we might then put down the fault lines of manufactured division and focus together on the common threat to all our freedoms and stop fighting each other over factually unsupportable bollocks. Muslim, Jew, white, black, brown, whatever. It's just a body type or a culture, that's all, while history, written by the winners, should be something to learn from, not to be owned by. Schwab's Great Reset needs to be met by another, the Great Reset of the human mind and human perception of reality. Yeah, that shit. Like, and it's also, it's nonsense because, like, you can't say all these, like, manufactured divisions whilst talking about the Rothschilds.
It's just a body type. Which makes me think, why are you so anti-trans then?
Well, yeah, there is that as well. You're ready to be horrified, absolutely horrified.
I already am, mate. I am traumatized.
Well,
by these.
You're going to be disgusted with this. Lady called Patriot Lady. She's done some great investigative journalism, and she's discovered something. She's discovered that USAID was using American civilians' tax dollars to send celebrities to Ukraine to increase Zelensky's popularity. And these include Angelina Jolie, who was reportedly paid $20 million to go and take a picture with Zelensky. Or Sean Penn, who was quite cheap, actually, at $5 million. Or Jean-Claude Van Damme, who for a mere $1.5 million went over there. Now, Orlando Bloom, he commanded $8 million. And Ben Stiller, he took a measly $4 million. So, yeah.
This is quite short.
It's crazy, isn't it? So you know, this is the fraud that Doge is uncovering. You know, celebrities.
I'm going to guess that those numbers are inflated.
They're not even real. It's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. Ben Stiller had to basically come out and deny claims that he was funded by the USAID. It's ridiculous. He basically, Elon Musk said, "This is examples of how USAID is a criminal enterprise." And then viral posts went round saying that that Angelina Jolie, Sean Penn, etc., got paid. And there was a doppelganger thing. There was a fake E-News video. You know E-News? It's like a bit like TMZ. And it's like a gossip thing, like a Hollywood gossip thing or whatever. There was a doppelganger, which is a Russian... well, it was originally from Russian intelligence, wasn't it? It's where they fake websites. They look exactly like say the BBC or CNN or something like that. They clone them, and the web address is ever so slightly different. Like I saw one the other day. I clicked on one on Twitter, and it was BBC One, but it looked like the BBC News homepage. I meant to send it to you actually. It was some outrageous story. I think it was to do with the COVID vaccine. Someone saying that it kills everyone or some shit or other. But it's one of those things where it looked, for all intents and purposes, like the BBC website. And there was a similar one with E-News. And this was the one that said that Stiller's visit cost $4 million. Now, Ben Stiller had to respond directly on Twitter. And he said, These are lies coming from the Russian media. I completely self-funded my humanitarian trip to Ukraine. There was absolutely no funding from USAID and certainly no payment of any kind. 100% false. So, yeah.
Wow. That's a fact check. Did he get community noted?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't. As we know, disinformation is just rampant on X. And so I actually saw a Grok thing today. Someone put who spreads most disinformation and lies on Twitter, and the answer from Grok was Elon.
The robot was right.
Absolutely. But on this particular day, February the 6th, he decides to spread false information from a Nazi shit poster. What's that? Inevitable West or whatever it is. There's the guy that's just been exposed as actually being an Indian guy. Mukhtar and various people sort of looked into him, and he's actually some Indian guy that's just basically making money on Twitter by posting incendiary Nazi crap. There was a shooting in Sweden. Now, initially, Twitter was all hot and heavy about this. They were like, oh, here we go, school shooting in Sweden. We all know what the score is with this. And then they went mysteriously quiet. Can you guess why?
The perpetrator was white.
Bingo. There we go. And despite the fact that a lot of people have been spreading lies saying that it was an asylum seeker and blah, 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 blah. But after the fact...
But previous form, you would think Anders Breivik. That's where my mind went straight away.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, it's Sweden was one of those places where it's nonsense. Like, they spread all the lies about the rape gangs and stuff like that. And it's what's bizarre is there's actually a lot of the sort of crime that's been attributed to foreigners and such like that was criminal gangs, drug gangs fighting against each other in Sweden. So, in the aftermath, what happened was this was slightly different from Elon. He's not necessarily sharing the wrong name, but he's sharing lies about the media response to it. You see, initially, everyone on Twitter had been very excited because they thought that this guy might be foreign. So the suspect turned out to be a chap called Rickard Anderson, who's a 35-year-old recluse, and he killed 10 people at this school before killing himself. Basically, what happened was, as people are sort of recovering for this, Elon Musk promoted this false claim that absolutely no European politician had mentioned the shooting incident, and that no news outlet had even bothered. And this was posted by Inevitable West, who basically put out this tweet: silence from the media, blah, 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 blah. Interestingly, as I say, Inevitable West, who claims to be a sort of Nazi Chad guy, has turned out to be a sort of con man from India. And but it also sort of highlights how like liars can make a huge amount of money by catering their output to the sort of stuff that Elon evidently wants on Twitter. Like, so he must do, otherwise he'd remove it. That's the logic I'm going by with that. Right. But it wasn't long before this was community noted, because basically this was absolute bullshit. Many legacy media outlets from around the world have covered the Sweden shooting. Additionally, European politicians have mentioned it, including European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen, whose response is highlighted in Le Monde article. And that's what the community notes read. Le Monde is a French newspaper. Stockholm University professor Christian Christiansen from the US was among those calling out Musk for his appalling behaviour on Twitter. Musk amplifying the lie that mainstream media aren't covering mass killing in Sweden, falsely implying it's because the killer was an immigrant, and the woke media won't say that. It's a classic bullshit strategy from the far right. Basically, they won't tell you the truth, but we will. And Swedish journalist Gunilla von Hall added, Elon Musk retweeting post that legacy media in Europe has been silent about the shooting in Sweden is a pure lie. It's been massively reported in all major European news outlets. And senior journalist at BBC Verify, Cheyenne Sard, I can never pronounce his name. You know him, Cheyenne, don't you?
We know Cheyenne.
Anyway, Cheyenne, fabulous journalist, he basically shared a screenshot that showed like dozens and dozens of newspapers reporting on it. So it's absolutely nonsense, basically. Like, but that's Elon. He's a liar, essentially. So you could be forgiven for holding the opinion that Elon Musk has restricted access to facts. One thing that he has currently, or it was said he has restricted access to on this particular date, was the US Treasury data. Now, this came from a filing from Donald Trump. It said there was it appears that basically access is going to be returned. There was a kind of a legal challenge, and it came back. It said that the defendants will not provide access to any payment record or payment systems of records maintained by or within the Bureau of Fiscal Services. There's two exceptions, basically. Marco Illes, who's a young engineer who previously worked for two of Musk's companies, and Tom Krause, who is the CEO of a cloud software group. They are the only two that are allowed to look at payment records, and they're allowed to look at them on a read-only basis. So that means that they can't mess around with them, basically. And this was an official government order that basically came through, says you cannot be fucking around with the Treasury stuff. Although some people have pointed out that you only need to read some of it in order for it to be useful. But that's another herd. But this comes to the Treasury Department, basically. Three federal employee unions got a lawsuit together attempting to block DOGE's access to the sensitive information. And in the lawsuit, it calls it a massive and unprecedented sharing of data. See, on Friday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who we remember used to work for Soros, but nobody but David Icke seems bothered about that, decided to basically grant everybody access to the payment systems, which was individuals not involved in the process of government's financial transactions. They could just root around. And the lawsuit said, or the complaint in this lawsuit said, that giving access to those records is unlawful. So, a bit of a win, really, for common sense. Not hugely, and if you think that's going to really stop them doing anything, but at least it's a setback. However, these two names that you remember, Tom Krause and Marco Illes, who knows? Maybe they might come up in the future. But so USAID, we're still trying to justify how USAID, which we must remember comprises less than 1% of the entire government's expenditure budget, and right wingers are still essentially lying about where the money's being spent. And one of the things that was being touted on the internet was that. Have you ever seen Politico magazine? Politico magazine is often critical of
of course,
politician. It talks about politics. The clue's in the name. But Elon and various other people were trying to claim that Politico magazine had received $8 million from USAID. USAID, which Elon Musk had described as a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America. And he'd also described it as an evil and criminal organization and said that it's time for it to die. Basically, Musk has posted at this point over 160 tweets about USAID, and most of them have been responses to arguments that have been put forward, like this Politico thing. And they've come from places like, and see if you recognize any of these names: Wall Street Apes, Kane Koa the Great, Chief Nerd, Autism Capital. These are all very sort of right-wing, sort of rabble-rousing shit posters on Twitter. And these are the people that Elon Musk is following. And this is who he's getting his information about USAID from, despite the fact that his Doge is supposed to be auditing it, essentially. And one of the claims that he was spreading was that the US agency, USAID, provided over $8 million in funding to the news and policy media company Politico LLC. But this was false. Publicly available records showed that in 2023 and 2024, the USAID paid a total of $44,000, not $8 million, to Politico, and the payments were earmarked for institutional subscriptions to E&E News, a Politico publication. No other transactions between USAID and Politico were listed for the entire previous decade. So essentially what this is, you know how like some newspapers have got a premium thing and behind the paywall and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's for the institutions to subscribe
Oh my God.
so that people within the government have got access to these stories and such like that.
Amazing.
So they can do their fucking jobs.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they lied again about where the money came from. So they didn't lie about where the money came from, but what the money was for and how much it was. They elevated it from 44,000 to 8 million. Another claim was that Chelsea Clinton, it's been a while since she's been on the radar of anybody in the conspiracy world. You'll never guess how much she received from USAID.
It's got to be millions. 3 million.
$84 million.
Whoa.
$84 million. It doesn't exactly explain what it was for because it's not true. What had happened was USAID, in the years between 2008 and 2024, had given $7.5 million to the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation, Chelsea Clinton doesn't receive any money from the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation is a charitable organisation, and they've got the receipts for where all this money went. It went to humanitarian efforts abroad. So it's just bullshit. It's absolute, complete, and total bullshit. But again, what they're doing is they're just throwing enough shit at the wall to see if it sticks, basically. Like, and you know, it's all lies. It's all lies and propaganda, which is ridiculous.
Have they exposed any legitimate fraud yet?
No.
Oh.
Not a bit of the 1% of the government's expenditure, and I'm talking about in both times. I'm talking about when we're recording this, when it goes out, and when and on February the 6th. Yeah. Like at no point will they uncover any fraud. It's all bullshit, bluster, and lies. Like it's absolutely stupid, to be quite honest. Speaking of people who are absolutely stupid. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thinks that black people have got a different immune system to white people, you know. Yeah. You see, RFK Jr. at this point in time is going through his Senate confirmation hearing. And Angela Alsobrooks, who's a Democratic Sarah from Maryland, pressed the nominee on his past claims that black people have a stronger immune system than white people and thereby should receive vaccines on a different schedule than them. She asked, what different vaccine schedule should you say that I should have received? Alsobrooks, who is of colour, asked Kennedy, and then she referenced a series of... Kennedy then referenced a series of studies showing that to particular antigens, blacks have a much stronger reaction. Now, this is the man that is being put up for the head of the health department or the health services in America. And these beliefs have been described accurately as medically racist. And probably not the sort of thing that you'd want to be the belief structure of somebody who's going to become the country's leading health official. And
I'd add actually racist.
Well, what's interesting as well is it's not just it's bullshit, right? Okay, Dr. Richard Kennedy, who's an author of the study that he's actually referencing, who's not related to RFK, he said that he says, whilst it's true that the immune response to vaccination can vary by race, sex, and potentially dozens of other factors, the data does not support a change in vaccine schedule based on race. Like, he's misunderstood it. What he said is that basically different people have got different reactions to different things. Like there's lots and lots of different factors, but race itself is not a factor that should be taken into account. It's taking like a sort of, it's one of these things that people do in conspiracy theories where they'll take a sort of a slightly unimportant bit and elevate that to like the headline, so to speak. And it'll often be something like a disclaimer or something like with vaccines or something. Like the very fact that basically it says like that some people have side effects is an admission that, well, there you go, everyone has side effects. In fact, they're not side effects, they're effects.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
The effect is death.
Yeah, basically. But it's I mean, this is particularly troubling as well because, like, you know, African Americans have got a long sort of history of distrust of medical establishment and system, rooted in legacies of abuse, things like the Tuskegee syphilis study, gynecology malpractice of J. Marion Sims, the exploitation of Henrietta Lacks for cancer treatments, and stuff like this. In 2003, the Human Genome Project found that there is no genetic basis for race. There is no genetic basis for race. And the term race is not biologically meaningful, meaning statements like Kennedy's are not only outdated, but also completely false. Now, apparently throughout history, there's been two endearing physiological myths: that black people have a higher pain tolerance and weak lungs that could be strengthened through hard labour. Now, can we think why there might have been this myth that black people have a higher pain tolerance, and that they have a problem that you can make better by forcing them to do hard labour?
Well, the answer would obviously be to legitimize slavery.
It might be. It might just be. Which is interesting, because that would mean that is the attitude that informs Robert Kennedy Jr.'s attitude to medicine.
Shit.
Yeah. It's not great, is it? So now we're moving on to February the 7th. And can you remember Marco Illes? He's one of the guys that's got access to the Treasury. Only can read it, but he's one of the only two people that has currently got access to Treasury records due to ongoing lawsuits between unions connected to various members of staff and institutes connected to the government. Marco Illes, well, he had a bad day on February the 7th. You see, and again, whether this makes Doge more efficient or less efficient, I don't know. But he had to quit his position at Doge. You see, because people had found his Twitter account, and on his Twitter account, he'd done certain things. You know what it's like, capricious youth and shit like that. You know, you might accidentally advocate repealing the Civil Rights Act, or backing a eugenics-based immigration policy, or writing things like, "You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity," and normalize Indian hate.
Wow.
I mean, and I want to make this absolutely clear, because things can be taken out of context, and he made it clear that, just for the record, I was racist before it was cool.
What a dick.
He also put one that said, "I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth." So, yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, right? Okay, because it would appear from looking at his tweets that this is not shit posting, this is not doing stuff to be edgy and stuff like that. Although I'm sure there's an element of that, because he's a fucking teenager, for Christ's sake. But it would appear that he actually does, or would lean towards believing those things. That was the inference that a lot took from poring over the available archives of his social media posts.
Is this you referenced earlier in one of the earlier episodes that they had seemed to have scrubbed a lot of their social media
weird
posts.
Strange,
but we found some, did we?
Yeah, and it raises the question: why were they scrubbing? Why were they scrubbing their social media? Well, yeah.
When you said about it, I was like, "Oh, there's going to be some of these," but here we are.
It's but again, this is, in many ways, this is difficult, right? Because we've all done stupid fucking stuff when we were kids. Like I've said it, like, thank God Twitter did not exist. Like, I've got a fairly edgy sense of humour now. When I was 18 and was trying to prove to the world, like, do you know what I mean? Like, bloody hell. Like, Do you know what I mean? It's like you do stuff when you're younger that you would not do when you're older because you don't quite understand the consequences or the ramifications, or think that anything bad is going to happen to you. Um, Also, you've got this attitude that you know everything, and that's bloody dangerous. But you see, Marco Helez was felt that he needed to resign because of this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would have probably said some stupid shit, but I wouldn't have said anything hateful. I think that's something
No,
different.
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. But this is what happens when you hire children, essentially. Also, on February the 7th, I see the headline: Trump sanctions the ICC, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, he's going after the fucking cricket now. But no, it's all right. It's just the International Criminal Court. Now, this is a global court with the power to bring prosecutions for genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, that kind of thing.
He's getting himself ready.
Well, he accuses them of having illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally, Israel. So in November, the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and that's what's basically got Trump's goat, so to speak. The ICC is the Hague. Basically, the court is based in the Hague, and it was basically created in the wake of the Yugoslav wars and the Rwandan genocide. But recently, judges at the court said that there were reasonable grounds that Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, as well as Hamas military commander Mohammed Deif, bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. So they weren't just going after Netanyahu. It wasn't a persecution of Israel. They were going after Hamas, the military commander of Hamas as well. So they both bore responsibility for the horrible deaths that have occurred since. Now, Israel basically denies the claims, and Deif will never stand trial because he was killed by an Israeli airstrike last year. But this is it. So, like, Netanyahu's visiting Washington, D.C. This is where Trump decides that he's going to tell people that he's there having Gaza. And this is when the US decided to sanction the ICC. The White House said the ICC had created a shameful moral equivalency between Hamas and Israel. I mean, I don't think they've created a moral equivalency so much as they've just said that both of them have committed what they would consider crimes. So I don't think that's. I think it's very obvious that it's essentially like, for want of a better expression, it's his mate, so he's sticking up for his mate.
Yeah, and as we learned from the EU Disinfo Lab conference when we heard from Hamza Al-Khatib, who was a Syrian doctor, the war crime here is attacking hospitals.
Yes.
And both sides have done that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. And there's no excuse for that on either side of the argument. Who's favourite rapper, Brent?
Well, I haven't got one, man. Who's my favourite Wu-Tang member? Raekwon.
Well, fair enough.
I'll go for that.
That's all right. You always you're a fan of Kanye, or used to be a fan of Kanye.
Yeah, used to be. Not like he was my favorite rapper. He was like one of my favorite producers.
That's true. He's put out some new material.
Oh no.
And when I say material, I mean incendiary tweets.
Oh.
He something seemed
I thought
to
you
happen.
was going to say t-shirts then.
Oh, that too. that too, but all in good time. Well, I mean, maybe you can guess what was on the t-shirts. The first, he seemed to have a little bit of a episode, shall we say? It's difficult to describe it. It's probably best to just read some of the tweets, I think. The first, or one of the most prominent tweets that seemed to cause a stir, was all in capitals, "I am a Nazi." I mean,
Wow.
and the thing is that could be taken out of context. That could be, who knows what it actually means. So he clarified by adding, "I love Hitler. Now what, bitches?" Yeah.
Oh, Kanye, you stupid bastard. What date is this?
This is February the 7th.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He then continued, like, this went on for quite a time. Any ninja come in my face and ask me about that puff shit, I'm stealing off them immediately. I don't give a fuck if you're 8 feet tall. I'm a jump and steal off you. Which means if anybody asks him about Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, he's going to punch them in the face. Because, you know, he likes Puff Daddy, apparently. And he insisted that he would block anybody that challenged him. And he continued, "You ninjas is controlled and broke. All you Kamala dick riding F slurs. You all got everything to say about my opinions when you're just doing what ninjas make you do for money."
Was this all in cap still?
Oh yes, very much so.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, okay,
yes,
just
yes.
making
He
sure.
doesn't appear to. I think his caps lock is
Permanently
smashed
on.
straight into the keyboard. It's permanently on by the thing. But having said about that, it's like it's been years since I've heard Kanye West say anything in a normal tone of voice. He's always sounding like he's trying to speak to somebody on the other side of the room, like crazy, and has that sort of, shall we say, far away look in his eyes. That only the pure genius or total madness can bring. But anyway, he continues. He basically he realised that saying the offensive F word slur might come across as homophobic.
So he doubled down.
Well, I mean, he clarified. He said that F slurs don't mean gay. Either it means F slurs like it always meant, you F slurred R slurs.
Oh my god.
And you know, I don't want you to think for a second that he's just all over the place. He's getting quite specific with his criticisms, his critique of society, if you will. Fuck
Isn't
all
he?
this woke shit. They putting fat bitches on the runway. Nobody want to see that shit. It's unhealthy. It promotes obesity. And the wild shit is if the fat bitch lose weight, then they lose their accept for Adele. Because she actually has another talent, then being used as a pawn for political agendas. Which is, incoherent at best. But it appears to be, the crux of his problem appears to be with fat bitches. Specifically them being on the runway. Because nobody want to see that shit. I mean, it's an opinion. It's certainly an opinion. He then somehow managed to make it worse by retracting his 2023 apology after he'd previously been, pulled up for being anti-Semitic and saying that he loved Hitler and things like that. He's tweeted, "I'm never apologising for my Jewish comments. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. Forever. Where's my fucking apology for freezing my accounts? Suck my dick. How's that for an apology?" And it's like, I mean, that's not an apology, is it?
It's not one.
It's an appalling apology. If many things, it makes the situation worse. "Be clear, you Jewish ninjas don't run me no more. This is a free country, and this is my free opinion. You abort black children for stem cells. Abortion is murder, and it's pushed onto the black and Latino communities."
Wait. Wasn't he gonna pay for everyone's abortions?
I don't know. I remember him having a breakdown shortly before Kim Kardashian divorced him by exposing that they were toying with her aborting their youngest daughter, which is one of those things where it's like, that's not a good idea to air out, like, for all sorts of reasons, for all sorts of people's feelings and such like that. I don't know. That's straight InfoWars shit though. That's what InfoWars does all the time. Whenever they talk about police brutality against black people or systemic racism or inequality in the prison system, disproportionate arrest and jailing of black people, anything like that. The go-to is, well, you don't care about black people because you let black people have abortions, and that kills millions of black people. And it's just like, that's so stupid. That's absolutely stupid.
I was totally wrong. I just had to check that. He said that he would give when he would run for president, if he won, that he would give everyone who got pregnant $1 million so they didn't have to have an abortion.
Sensible policies for a happier America. Like, I wish I'd known that, actually. I would have voted for him. Like, that's ridiculous. What a twat. What an absolute twat. Anyway, he continues. Any Jewish person that does business with me needs to know that I don't like or trust any Jewish person. And this is completely sober with no Hennessy. Which is an interesting business proposal. Like, you wouldn't do that if you were going to the bank for a loan. Let me just say, before I ask for this money, I don't trust you. I don't trust any of you. Okay? And this is me sober. I've not even had a drink this morning. See if you get that loan. See if you get that loan. Like, you won't. He then puts out, quite simply and succinctly, free puff, which I believe is a reference. He's not offering anything. He's requesting that Puff Daddy, currently held on sex trafficking and rape charges, I believe, should be freed from prison. And then he expands on this by saying, all these celebrity ninjas and bitches is pussy, y'all. You'll watch our brother rot and never say shit. He then, he fleshes out his argument. We all watched them try to cancel Chris Brown, and ain't nobody do nothing. I was pussy then too, Chris Brown. It's till the wheels fall off. Slavery is a choice. Which is not, is it? I mean, unless he's grossly misunderstood the word there. Like, yeah, that was one of the sort of the main bad things about slavery, was that you didn't have a choice, which is why it's called slavery. Like, so, yeah. I mean, I think at best he's got his facts jumbled there.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely has his facts jumbled there. I remember that incident where he said about slavery was a choice, and he said if it was me, I would have ran away from that plantation and hopped on a motorcycle and got away.
Great Escape, Steve McQueen-esque. Yeah,
Were motorcycles around back then?
These are minor details, Ben. It's the essence. You've got to look at the essence of his plan. Like, Kanye's a genius. Like, if he can't find a motorcycle, he'll pretend he's on a motorcycle.
Kanye was a genius. He is now an utter fucking moron.
Well, I mean, he's certainly steadfast in his attempt to defending Puff Daddy. He says, or tweeted, they try to prove a point, and you'll know that. You'll fucking know that. And sitting laughing at the fucking internet on Instagram, this man gave his life to us. This my idol. This my hero. And then he doubles down by saying, so what y'all gonna do? Cancel my sneaker deal? Cancel my record deal? Freeze my accounts? Fuck y'all. Y'all ninjas. Slavery is a choice. I'm speaking my mind now. I ain't editing shit ever again. Then he decides to use certain terms for Jewish people that begin with K. All you please come at me. That's how we spot the K slurs. Let these white people and Jewish people tell you what to do and say, fuck Diego and fuck all your ninjas in advance. Who Diego is, I'm not entirely sure. Just for clarity, they tried to make an example out of Puff, me and my brother. We had our issues, but these white people trying to use Puff to scare ninjas. I'm neither scared nor brave. This just me. Free Diddy. And then he said, I just found out that Puff is not allowed to make or collect money whilst he's locked up. So I'm going to send his half of his money to Justin. people assumed he meant Justin Bieber. It's yeah.
This has to be quite conflicting in the conspiracy world, though,
How
because
so?
like Puff being arrested, and charged and being investigated for all this stuff was proof of like the
Epstein and stuff.
yeah. But
Yeah, I don't know. I
Kanye
expected to see a
is
lot of.
like protecting him or promoting him or sticking up for him. And he's also kind of on the side of the conspiracists in that way. It's got to be somewhat conflicting
Nick
in
Fuentes liked
certain
it.
communities. Like, I wonder what the concerned citizen would be saying about this.
I don't know. Nick Fuentes liked it, certainly.
Well, of course he did, because there's a bunch of like racist slurs in the tweets. And then they started with "I am a Nazi." Of course, Nick Fuentes loved it.
Somebody put on Twitter, and I wish I'd thought about this, it's like Hitler would be spinning in his grave if he realised that his two biggest fans were a mentally ill black man and a closeted gay Mexican. So there's some cold comfort in that. but yeah. Speaking of fascism, more Project 2025 people were given jobs in Trump's admin. One of the sort of main architects of Project 2025 was confirmed to the Senate to become the next head of the Office of Management and Budget. This was Russel Vought, who, he wrote, "God be praised, grateful to the President and the US Senate, incredibly thankful for all the many who prayed me through. Now let's go," after he was confirmed to the position. But again, it's getting harder and harder to deny that Project 2025 is certainly prominent in the policy decisions of the Trump administration. And you know what else is getting harder and harder to deny? That hiring a load of children to look at the most sensitive data in America was probably injudicious. Can you remember Edward Corstein, the 19-year-old, the lad that was working for the one of the muskrats?
Yep.
Well, there was this 2022 message from an executive of the firm Path Network, and this was seen by Bloomberg News, and it was talking about why Edward, who is part of the team that is getting access to Medicare details, Social Security details, the Treasury information, all the sensitive government information, in 2022, so this was when he was 17, I'll just read the message. Edward has been terminated for leaking internal information to competitors. This is unacceptable, and there is zero tolerance for this. A spokesperson for the Arizona-based hosting and data security firm from which he was fired said, "I can confirm that Edward Corstein's brief contract was terminated after the conclusion of an internal investigation into the leaking of proprietary company information that coincided with his tenure." Afterwards, Corstein wrote that he'd retained access to the cybersecurity company's computers, though he said that he hadn't actually taken advantage of it. So he basically said, "I had access to every single machine," he wrote in a Discord after he'd been fired. He'd posting under his name Rivage. He said that he could have wiped all of the company's customer supporting servers if he'd wished, but I never exploited it because it's just not me, which is good. So we're now on to February the 8th, and so this is the home stretch, so to speak. RFK Jr., we found several things out about him that, I don't know, they don't fill me with confidence, to be quite honest. One was that he was in huge debt to credit card companies. Now, he has the money to pay these debts off because he's fabulously wealthy. But it just seems very, very strange that he's got a lot of debt on credit cards, which is very, very high interest. And so this just sort of raised some questions. Also,
did he like run it up with his presidential campaign or something?
No, these appear to be private private credit cards.
I
It's one.
just had this idea of like like Kevin Smith funding clerks on all these credit
Oh, I see what
cards,
you're saying. Yeah, no, I mean, no. This is the
and
strange
he's like,
thing.
"Oh, I'm gonna be president. I'm gonna get a load of
He
load of
seems to be
credit cards."
constantly
And
in a state of about 1.2 million in the red
oh
on
shit!
to several different credit card companies,
So
but it
that's not the
doesn't.
10,000 that Kevin Smith got.
No, 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 quite. He could make quite a lot. He could have done the original ending to Red State with that money. Now there's a deep cut. If anyone knows what that's a reference to. Anyway, it's he's got a net worth of about $30 million. So it was just one of these things where it's like, why on earth is he doing that? It doesn't seem to make any sense, to be quite honest. But a lot of what he does doesn't seem to make sense. Like, what's his big thing? What is it that he never takes into his body and stuff like that? Not heroin, like that's
Vaccines.
yeah, well, not that as well, but also processed foods. He's got this idea that he never takes anything.
Bullshit.
Yeah, of course it's bullshit.
Bullshit. I saw him eating
A Big Mac.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
On the
Air Force One. Yeah, absolutely.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, but also he was seen in a photo recently at Gold's Gym on Venice Beach holding a bottle of C4 energy drink. This drink has got 17 ingredients, including several preservatives that have been linked to major health conditions such as cancer. And so it's just full of shit, basically. This drink is advertised as providing explosive energy and superhuman performance. It sounds like a drink form of like super male vitality. Like, it's one of these things like, it says on the bottle, consume 30 minutes before dominating exercise and life. I mean, I don't know whether like you have to be constantly drinking it to be in a constant state of domination over life, but it's 30 minutes before exercise, apparently. Anyway,
I think we should get some and try it before the
well, I
episode.
wouldn't, because
we
even though
record.
America's like standards of medicine and like food is appalling, even this can't get evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The FDA basically say it's one of those. It's considered a supplement, which is one of those grey areas where you could put stuff in things that kill you. But this wasn't the only fucking ridiculous thing that he's been seen drinking recently. Are you aware of the latest craze within idiots, particularly right wing idiots?
No, well, I'm guessing is it something to do with the blue dye or something
Damn
like that,
straight.
right? Yeah, I did see him drinking blue dye or something like that.
Yeah. It's methylene blue, which sounds like a new metal band, but it's not. It's this sort of
Like an emo metal band.
yeah, definitely. Well, you know, that period where it was like where everyone was like cutting themselves and pretending that they'd been abused, like Machine Head did. And anyway, so this is a medication. It's used for the management and treatment of methemoglobinemia, which is a rare condition in which hemoglobin decreases its ability to carry oxygen through the body. Usually, it's injected, but for some fucking reason, everyone's decided that this liquid, which is used as a dye and often as a disinfectant to clean out fish tanks, is the new magical fucking cure-all. It can fight cancer and combat aging and cure fucking everything, basically. Mel Gibson was promoting it on Joe Rogan. And I've seen various people sort of like, yeah, this is the new thing. There's a book called The Ultimate Guide to Methylene Blue by a bloke called Mark Slogan. And the author claims that the medicine has, and see if you can spot the weasel word here. Remarkable hope for depression, COVID, AIDS, and other viruses, Alzheimer, autism, cancer, heart disease. on the website, on one particular website that sells it, it says that just one dose has been shown to improve memory in humans. I bet it fucking does. I bet it makes you go, I must remember never to taste that fucking horrible blue dye shit again. That's disgusting. Like, there's absolutely nothing to back this up. Absolutely nothing. It's utter snake oil. There's no data to support it. And for some reason, it's one of these things that the bro science people have decided to take on board.
Well, it's just the latest thing.
Yeah.
You know, we've been at it since monatomic gold.
Oh, Christ. And what was that miracle mineral solution, which is essentially bleach? Like, it's just, yeah, absolutely stupid. Just very, very stupid. Like, but, yeah. So, yeah, that's the person who's in charge of all the health of Americans. But, yeah, some good news.
Again, he's still terrifying.
Oh, he's ridiculous.
I am terrified for America's health.
Not just its health. Like,
no, but with him, when it comes to him, in context of RFK Jr.
Oh, Christ, it's insane. One bit of slightly good news. Elon Musk got sued in Germany. This was interesting. A German court handed Twitter, now known as X, a legal defeat, ruling that the platform must immediately provide researchers with access to data on politically related content ahead of the country's February 23rd election. Now, this is actually to do with the European Union's Digital Services Act, which is one of the things that was spoken about, the EU Disinfo Lab. We've got a series of that coming out very, very soon. And we've got interviews with various people that were involved in that, which are on our website. So go and check them out. Basically, the Digital Services Act is there to make platforms responsible for the output, because they're essentially publishing stuff. And the particular thing with Germany is that it looks like Elon's gaming it very much like he did in the American election to favour one particular candidate, and this candidate is the AfD. So basically the lawsuit by Democracy Reporting International and the Society for Civil Rights accused X of blocking efforts to track potential election interference by not granting them access to key engagement data, including likes, shares, and visibility metrics, which other platforms have made available to researchers. This is a shame, really, because this is one of those things where it's potentially too late. Like, you know, this is the sort of thing that is needed to be set up, and this is one of these problems because, like, this is going to be framed by everybody within the conspiracy world as like totalitarian, creeping Big Brother state, and to a degree, it is. It's regulation and oversight, like, and so it needs to be done in a sensible way. But at the same time, we've got literally the world's richest man who's bought social media platforms entirely, it would seem, to influence politics in a way that's never been seen before.
I think in a way, though, like what the DSA is asking, or what the German court is using the DSA for, is just transparency, right? And it goes very closely to what Doge is doing right now with like a read-only version of the data. That's all they're asking for. Is they just want to know what's going on.
Oh no, absolutely.
They're not asking to like actually change anything. They just need to know what's going on.
And it's not. This is the thing. They're not really interested in your messages and your personal interactions and that. It's holding the platforms accountable for spreading dis and misinformation. That's what it's about. Now, that's how it's being framed. Is like, oh no, they're going to look at all your stuff and say, which is ironic because nobody's got a problem with Elon doing that with Doge. Or no, you know, people who would have a problem with the DSA, with the Online Services Act or whatever it's called in the UK, I can't remember, like, don't seem to have a problem with exactly that thing and worse happening because their guy's doing it. because it's fucking team sports. Because, yeah, it's ridiculous, basically. But, yeah. Speaking of ridiculous, David Icke appeared on the Stu Peters show.
Oh,
Christ, it was painful.
oh,
I couldn't even...
That's got to be worse than like a
Getting
Trump
your
and
balls
Boris
caught
phone
between
call.
two bricks. It's worse than that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking... It was horrible. I couldn't cope with it. I watched a couple of snippets. They were basically slagging off Alex Jones. But for slightly different reasons. Ike's mad at him because of the embrace of Musk and Trump. Can you guess why Stu Peters is mad at Alex?
Israel.
Sort of. A bit more specific.
Flat Earth, Israel,
Jews.
vaccine.
Because he doesn't, because he doesn't explicitly call out the Jews for being the problems to the entire world system, essentially.
Well, that's what I meant by Israel. I think I was right. I think I get the point. Come on.
All right, fair enough. You get the point. That's fair.
Thank you.
But David basically also pretends that he's always had Trump and Musk's number, which is utter bollocks, because he's tried to pander to both of them. He's just realised that basically, like, they're not really interested in his brand of wackiness. Like, he's a bit too esoteric for them. Like, they're not interested in that, and he could try the sort of the racist stuff and the great replacement stuff and things like that. But that's... he's just copying other people, isn't he, then?
Yeah, but we documented that moment.
Yeah.
That moment where he turned against both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he debated Alex, and then Adrian Dittman came on.
Thinking he was Elon Musk. And basically what happened was Alex just very, very publicly binned off David Icke for a man that he thought was Elon Musk, but wasn't Elon Musk. Thus setting off David's supervillain arc. That's
a real big conspiracy theory on the left, though. Is that Adrian Dittman is actually Elon
Musk? Yeah.
But we know he's not. He's just not.
He's somebody that's trying to copy Elon Musk in the same way that Ali G would copy rappers. But like, here's the thing: like, I can't quite decide which is sadder. Like Elon Musk having a burner account where he pretends to be somebody who's a super fan of himself, or this super fan of Elon being such a sycophant that he's essentially copying the mannerisms of Elon, and the fact that Elon actually finds that quite flattering. The whole thing, it's like an Ouroboros of sad dick sucking. Yeah. Like, it's pathetic. Like, very, very weird. Very, very, very weird indeed. And you know who else continues to be weird? Kanye West. Yeah. Again, not
What day are we?
We're February the 8th.
8th, okay.
Yeah.
What happens on the 8th?
Well, he tweets, "They killed Michael Jordan's dad on Father's Day. They killed my mom after graduation. Some random number texted my wife saying they knew where my daughter lived. So for the last 24 hours of my expressing my truth, people are threatening to kill my children to silence me. Look at Bill Cosby's son. That's why none of these comedians' jokes is funny about this situation. No more. I don't play with these porn-ass C-slur ninjas like Dave Chappelle. Ninja made jokes about me. Ninja jokes about my wife. Ninja made jokes about the trans community. Ninja thinks he's so smart. Ninja thinks shit is a joke after I brought Sunday service to heal hearts in his hometown after tragedies. Ninja put together the words Palestine and Palisades because he thought it sounded cool while people really lost their homes and their lives. Ninja said on SNL he never wanted a sneaker deal, when this ninja actually asked me for a sneaker deal, which of course I turned down. Nobody wearing Air Daves, you lanky-ass ninja." So,
whoa.
Yeah, spiraling, I think, is but that wasn't the end of his particular tirade.
Oh no!
Somebody put out, someone called Arthur Kwon Lee. I don't know who this person is. It doesn't really matter, to be quite honest. He put out a tweet that said simply, Ben Shapiro is gay. And Kanye responded, I appreciate your sentiment and you riding with me. Gay Jews run the world. Ben Shapiro is just a face for gay Jews. If Ben Shapiro was really a gay Jew, you wouldn't actually know who he was. Yeah. It's troubling, isn't it? Now, also on the 8th, it was revealed exactly how much DOGE's influence has, I suppose the best way to describe it would be metastasized through the American government system. And ironically, on this particular day, Nazi saluting Elon Musk had control over 14 federal agencies. So, and he's looking for ways to cut costs with all of them. And basically, as I say, this is still holding lots of potential problems due to lack of experience. But they'd been seen working in the Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Center for Disease Control, the FBI, the Treasury, and more. And in addition, Musk had targeted the workforce at the US Agency for International Development, the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. So he's looking to get rid of all of those things, including the Center for Disease Control, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Department of Education, and the Department of Health and Human Services. Oh, and also the Department of Veterans Affairs, which is one of those things which is like, that's going to piss off a lot of MAGA people. What that is for, like, ex-soldiers and stuff like that. It helps with a lot of medical problems that people have, either caused by their time in service or just by aging. And they're looking to basically strip this out. They're also looking to strip out the FBI, which is, that's always like a positive sign, isn't it? When a government wants to reduce it's one of those, it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Honestly, I don't know with that one, because it's if Alex Jones and David Icke and all of those people are right, by stripping out the FBI, and I think he was looking at the CIA as well, he's going to get assassinated. But we'll have to wait and see about that. But yeah, Doge is spreading its tentacles, shall we say, through more and more departments, and it's probably not a very good idea. But that's the world according to some.